The desert was not supposed to exist anymore. At least, that's what the maps had said. After the climate restoration satellites went online, Earth's scorched lands had supposedly turned green again. Yet here I was, trudging through endless dunes under a rust-colored sky, my boots sinking into the baked sand of what used to be northern Algeria. The air shimmered with heat. My water canteen was half empty. And my rover had broken down 6 kilometers behind me, leaving me with nothing but a handheld scanner and a prayer that my distress signal would reach someone before nightfall. The heat distorted the horizon into ghostly mirages. I told myself that the glint I saw ahead was just another trick of the light. But it didn't waver like a mirage, it pulsed. A faint silver glow like liquid metal spilled across the dunes. I stumbled closer. And that's when I saw her. She lay half buried in the sand, her body shimmering as if dusted with starlight. She wasn't human, not entirely. Her skin had an iridescent quality, pale silver with veins that glowed faintly blue beneath the surface. Her hair spread across the sand like strands of luminescent silk, flickering faintly in the dimming light. Froze pulse thundering. A dozen thoughts collided in my mind. First contact. An experiment gone wrong. Hallucination from dehydration. Then she moved. A soft, broken breath escaped her lips, and her fingers twitched weakly toward me. Instinct overrode fear. I dropped to my knees beside her, unhooked my canteen, and lifted her head gently. Her skin was cool to the touch, almost metallic. Her lips were cracked, and her breathing shallow. Hey, it's okay, I said as if she could understand English. Here, water. She blinked, eyes fluttering open. They were unlike anything I'd ever seen, pupilless luminous pools of sapphire light. For a heartbeat, I saw entire galaxies swirling inside them. When I pressed the canteen to her lips, she hesitated, then drank. Slowly at first, then greedily until she gasped and coughed. I eased her upright, supporting her slender shoulders. Easy. You're going to be okay, I murmured. She looked at me for a long, searching moment, then whispered something. Soft, musical syllables that didn't sound like any language I knew. And then in halting, accented English, she said, "You saved me." She told me her name was Seren Valera, though she said the pronunciation was impossible for human tongues. She claimed to be from the 9th spiral of Lyri, a phrase that made no sense until I realized she meant another star system. Her vessel, she said, had been ambushed by scavenger drones orbiting the upper atmosphere. Human-made ones, relics from the resource wars. She'd crash-landed here alone. The ship, she believed, was lost beyond repair. I stared at her, trying to process it all. You're telling me you came from another world? Another civilization? She nodded weakly. My people are watchers. We have observed your kind for centuries. But never intervened. Not until now. I frowned. Why now? She turned her gaze toward the horizon, where the sky was darkening into violet dusk. Because your planet is dying again. The words hit harder than I expected. I thought of the synthetic oceans, the green-tinted domes that covered half of Asia, the artificial weather grids barely holding equilibrium. Maybe she wasn't wrong. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I was sent to warn your leaders. But I failed. I was betrayed. By who? Her eyes hardened. By one of your own. As the stars emerged overhead, I built a small fire with a plasma igniter from my kit. The desert nights were cold, and the warmth helped her stop trembling. She sat across from me, her strange eyes reflecting the flames, the silver patterns on her skin pulsing softly in rhythm with her heartbeat. Who betrayed you? I asked again. She hesitated. A man called Colonel Hovel. He was your liaison to our embassy. He learned that my people possess a core, a source of energy capable of restoring worlds. He wanted it for himself. When I refused to trade it, he destroyed our transmission beacon and sent drones to intercept my vessel. Havel, I muttered. I knew that name. He was head of the Global Defense Commission, the man responsible for enforcing peace through orbiting weapon platforms. A hero to some, a tyrant to others. She lowered her head. He believes power can save your species, but power unchecked destroys. My people have seen it before. And this core. What is it? Saren looked up. The glow beneath her skin brightened. A seed of life. A singularity of creation. With it, oceans can bloom on barren worlds, and dead suns can ignite once more. I exhaled, the realization dawning. That's what he wants, to use it as a weapon. She nodded. If he succeeds, your world will tear itself apart. Silence hung between us. The fire crackled softly. Somewhere in the distance, a storm rolled across the dunes. The next morning, I awoke to find Saren kneeling in the sand, her palms pressed against the ground. Lines of light rippled outward from her hands, weaving intricate patterns through the dunes. The sand itself seemed to shift and breathe, sprouting faint traces of green moss where her touch lingered. I stepped closer. What are you doing? Calling, she said simply. I must reach my people. But you said your ship is gone. But the seed still lives. She looked over her shoulder at me, a small, tired smile on her face. It is inside me. The words froze me. Inside you. She nodded. My body is its vessel. Keeps me alive, but it is dying with me. Unless I deliver it to the ocean, the seed will wither. The ocean. That's hundreds of kilometers from here. Her expression didn't waver. Then we walk. We set out before sunrise, heading south toward what used to be the Mediterranean. The journey was brutal. I rigged a small solar sled from broken rover parts to carry supplies. Saren, despite her frail appearance, moved with surprising endurance, though I noticed the glow beneath her skin dimming with each passing hour. At night, we camped beneath the stars. She told me stories of her world, of crystal citadels suspended in the upper clouds, of oceans that sang, of creatures that communicated through harmonics instead of words. But what struck me most was how human she sounded when she spoke of fear. My people believed we could protect every world we touched, she said one night, watching the fire dance. We were wrong. We lost entire galaxies because of arrogance. We watched empires collapse under their own weight. Your world still has a chance. And if this seed reaches the ocean, I asked, what happens? The planet will remember itself, she said softly. The biosphere will awaken. Balance will return. And if it doesn't, she looked at me with a sadness I'll never forget. Then your people will burn the stars in their greed, and become the next ghost civilization. By the third day, my rations were nearly gone. Saren was weaker now, barely able to walk. The horizon shimmered with faint blue. A mirage, I thought at first, until the scent of salt reached me. The ocean, or what was left of it. The sea was little more than a vast basin of cracked mud and stagnant pools, stretching for miles. Once, this had been the Mediterranean. Now it was a graveyard of salt and bones. Saren knelt beside the largest pool. Her hands trembled as she reached into the water. The faint glow beneath her skin brightened, spreading through her veins like rivers of light. The seed, it awakens, she whispered. The air around us shimmered. Waves of energy rippled outward, distorting the very air. The ground trembled. I stumbled back as the pool began to churn, its murky water turning crystalline blue. Saren, shouted. "What's happening?" She looked up at me, her eyes blazing like twin stars. "You gave me water," she said. "And in that moment you shared your world's soul with mine. Now I return the gift." Her voice deepened, resonating like a symphony of bells. The light engulfed her, rising in luminous threads that reached into the sky. I shielded my eyes as the desert wind roared around us. When it subsided, she was gone. Where she had knelt, the pool glowed with living light. And from its depths, green tendrils began to unfurl. Kelp, coral, the beginnings of life itself. Days passed before rescue came. The Global Defense Commission arrived first, black ships blotting out the sun. Colonel Hovell himself stepped onto the cracked shore, flanked by soldiers. "What happened here, engineer?" he demanded. "Our satellites picked up anomalous readings." I stared at him, then at the reborn water shimmering behind me. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." He scowled. "Try me." "She saved us," I said simply. "And you tried to kill her." His eyes narrowed. "The alien was a threat." "No," I said. "You are." He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the ground trembled again. The newly formed sea surged upward, spiraling into columns of glowing water that wrapped around the soldiers like vines. The weapons short-circuited. The air was thick with ozone, and from within the light I heard her voice, soft, distant, echoing like the memory of a dream. "I made a vow," Saren whispered, "that I would protect the one who gave me life. And now I protect your world as well." Hovell screamed as the waves consumed him, his body dissolving into light. When it faded, there was silence, only the gentle sound of water against the shore. Years have passed since that day. The sea has returned. Green spreads where once there was dust. They call it the Saren revival now, a planetary rebirth no science can fully explain. Sometimes when I stand at the water's edge, I see her reflection among the ripples. The same silver hair, the same eyes filled with stars. She kept her vow. And I will never forget the day the alien princess collapsed before me, when I gave her water and she saved the world.